Thank you.
Grateful and finally able to plan a future.
Professor Colin Pouton is Professor of Pharmaceutical Biology at Monash University, and he joins me now. Good morning and welcome to you. I saw you having a little bit of a chuckle there at to jab or not to jab, William Shakespeare being vaccinated in the UK. Is this an exciting day for you? You've been working towards developing a coronavirus vaccine as well.
It certainly is an exciting day, yes, particularly since we're working on mRNA vaccines ourselves. And it's just the speed that this vaccine has been delivered in. It is emergency use only, but nevertheless, it's a very exciting day in this pandemic.
Is there a tinge of disappointment that you weren't among the front runners?
No, not really, no. We're delighted to see a vaccine being rolled out, at least close to being rolled out so soon. I think there may well be improvements that can be made over the years to come, and so we're still working on the science behind the vaccine. There's a lot to learn, but it's certainly great to see it being rolled out for general use.
Is it clear how long this vaccine will inoculate against coronavirus for?
No, it's not. No, we really don't have that kind of information at the moment. I think what we do know at the moment from the trials that have been carried out is that, at least in the short term, the vaccine prevents COVID-19, the infection, the actual disease itself. We don't know whether it prevents the virus being transmitted, and we don't know how long that protection will last for, but it's certainly a very positive result. And I don't think one that many people would have expected. It's very much more efficacious than one could have hoped for, really.
And so does your research effort with the Doherty Institute continue?
Yes, it definitely does. Yeah, there's much to be learned, and as I said, there may be improvements to be made, and we're particularly interested in improvements that might make the vaccine more effective in elderly people. We don't really know how this vaccine responds in different cohorts of patients.
I believe that the vaccine candidate you have been working towards is similar to the Moderna vaccine. Can you explain to us in what way it is different to the ones in the news today, the Pfizer and BioNTech and the AstraZeneca vaccines?
Yes, certainly. Well, one of the main differences between what we're doing and the current programs is that the current programs are vaccinating against the whole spike protein of the coronavirus. They're expressing it either from DNA or RNA, or in some cases administering the protein itself. But we're interested in whether you can raise antibodies against just the tip of the spike protein. And that tip of the spike protein is what actually binds to a receptor and allows it to get into our cells. And so we think that there may be advantages in just administering a vaccine which creates antibodies against the tip.
Do you think the incredible work we've seen around the world on developing coronavirus vaccines will benefit research against other illnesses?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Particularly these new technologies like the mRNA technology, because really it can be used for a whole variety, for vaccines against a whole variety of infectious diseases, but also it has therapeutic uses too. And what we're seeing is, if you like, safety data which will support the development of a whole load of other products in the future.
Because we've had such an upfront view to the development of many coronavirus vaccines, do you expect that we might see some people vaccine shopping, holding out for a particular vaccine at their GP's office, for instance?
So I just say that again, I didn't quite catch that.
Do you think we might see some Australians vaccine shopping? Because there might very well be several that are approved for use here, and we will be watching them rolled out overseas. We've got a few months to possibly make up our minds about which one we might like to use.
Well, I guess people will be thinking along those terms. I don't think we have enough information to really say that one is better than the other or safer than the other at this stage. The vaccines are being used in a pandemic situation under emergency use guidelines, really. It's an emergency use application, and we'll have to wait to see how they work in the long term, how effective they are, and if some are safer than others. But I'm sure people will be thinking, well, which one should I take? It's only natural to think that. What we do know at the moment is that these vaccines have been given to a large number of people already, about 20,000 people during the efficacy studies. And so the safety isn't really an issue. I think they've got a very good safety profile, at least in the first set of information we've got.
And given that Australia's coronavirus situation is completely different to the one we're seeing in the UK and the US, we have a few months before the vaccines will be rolled out here. Do you know if they are likely to be rolled out in Australia under that emergency use authorisation as well, or will it have seen further studies and be rolled out as a regular vaccine?
Yeah, the message we're getting from the TGA is that they'll wait for a little while and wait until there's more safety information and try to roll it out as a full application and as a full license rather than an emergency use license. And as you say, that's partly because of the situation, the good situation we're in, that we don't have that much COVID-19 at the moment. So I think the government, the TGA, have made that decision. It was in the news the other day. So I think then that's probably a very sensible decision. We don't really need the vaccine right now, and we haven't got access to it anyway, so we may as well wait and get more data before we approve it.
And just finally, in specific reference to your own research, do you have a time frame for when you hope to announce a vaccine candidate?
Well, we're hoping to go into a safety study with a vaccine candidate within the next 6 months. But it does depend on funding. These studies are quite expensive to do, so we're working towards that, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Professor Colin Pouton, it's terrific to speak to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Tasmania's Premier Peter Gutwein has confirmed that 3 new cases of COVID-19 have been detected in hotel quarantine in Tasmania.